Hello, Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising. Welcome to my channel. It is such a blessing to be here with you, so thank you for being here with me for your February 2024 recap. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to connect with you today. In the description box below, you will find links to information on personal readings, the Soul Good membership channel on Telegram, and ways to support the work I do here if you would like to explore any of those options. You will also find a timestamp if you would like to jump to the start of your reading. Please do keep in mind this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so use your discernment and take only what resonates with you. If you find that something shared does resonate, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment below, and or share this content, as it tells YouTube that there may be something valuable here for someone else, which is a gift to both this channel and to others as well. And I greatly appreciate that support. In February, we had the meeting of Chiron and the North Node, which inspired us to recognize and accept our wounds and activate our own healing. We were encouraged to forge a new path forward, utilizing the wisdom, knowledge, and intuitive truths we've gained to align with our higher calling. That being said, we are going to be looking at your overall energy, what realizations or epiphanies February 2024 brought for you, how this will impact your journey moving forward, and getting some messages or advice to best support and serve you. So let's jump in, Gemini, and see what's going on for you. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Christ, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, tell us please about the overall energy of February 2024 for Gemini. Tell us, please, about the overall energy of February 2024 for Gemini. Okay, thank you. Tell us, please, what realizations or epiphanies did February 2024 bring for Gemini? Gemini, I am picking up this energy of maybe a bit of scatteredness. Perhaps you found yourself at a crossroads. There's something, thank you. There is something here around feeling perhaps overwhelmed. There's even an energy of resistance here as well. So I don't know what happened, thank you, or what came forward or through for you in the month of February, but it does seem to me that there could have been a lot of things occurring that puts you in a position of feeling overwhelmed, feeling as if it's almost like I would rather stay still than make a move. Certainly take what resonates and leave whatever doesn't for someone else, thank you. But I feel like there's something there around that. Tell us more, please, about the overall energy of February 2024 for Gemini. Thank you. Tell us more, please, what realizations or epiphanies did February bring for Gemini? Okay. Tell us more, please, how will this impact Gemini's journey? Thank you. Can we please have any other messages or advice to best support and serve Gemini's journey moving forward? What other messages or advice will best support and serve Gemini moving forward, please? Okay, thank you. All right, anything else we need to know, please, about the overall energy of February 2024 for Gemini? Okay, thank you. Anything else we need to know, please, about the realizations or epiphanies February 2024 brought for Gemini? Thank you. Anything else we need to know, please, about how this will impact the... Okay, I feel like it's this one here and this one. Thank you. And any other messages or advice? Okay, that one on the floor. Let me just grab that. All right. The overall energy I'm going to get into in just a moment. So what's really interesting about this Gemini is that actually in all of the other readings that I've done and the plan that I had for this reading and all of the recaps for this month were to use this deck first, this deck second, and the final deck here third. However, as you can see, things have worked out differently and I wasn't really paying attention to it. So we're going to roll with it. But if you do watch, you know, perhaps your sun, moon, or rising is different. It's going to look a bit different, but we're going to roll with it because I'm a believer and there's, you know, a reason for most things. So let's dive in and see what February brought for you. The overall energy here, law of karma, you are being called to a higher purpose. I mean, really, Gemini, I feel like a lot of people are, okay? I don't feel like this is limited only to your sign. However, I do feel that there could be a lot of things that are coming to the surface or did come to the surface throughout the month of February to really kind of shift you. I do feel, if you can see on this card here, there's these patterns of circles, and the way that that's coming through to me is essentially, it feels like these things that have come to the surface or these shifts that have been encouraged, let's say, it feels like almost as if something was dropped into your field and it rippled out, but it feels like multiple things have dropped into your field. So what that means is that maybe there are things that came into your conscious awareness that you were not previously able to see or didn't know. And it created all of these ripples in your life. It may have, how do we say, I don't want to say disrupted, but that may be a very good word, impacted various parts of your life and really caused you to be looking at things from a very different perspective. I feel like whatever has happened for you, though, in the month of February, I do feel like it's to take you to this higher purpose, to this higher place where you are evolving more or you are stepping more deeply, let's say, into your unfolding, into your soul's evolution. I also feel like it's forced you to look at yourself in ways that you may have not previously. There are these two cheetahs here that are staring at one another, right? They're like mirrored. And so I feel as though, you know, you've been put in a position throughout the month of February to really look at yourself. And perhaps this is where that energy of things dropping into your field and rippling out has come in, because perhaps perhaps that unfolding, perhaps that taking place is where that overwhelm, that, it almost feels like a freeze state, right? Where perhaps you were, you know, forced to look at yourself in many different ways. And perhaps that puts you in this state where you're like, oh, like, I don't want to do anything. Like, I don't want to look at none of it because it's too much. You have here as well the law of action, get out of your comfort zone and take bold action today. Yeah. So what's really interesting is this wolf here on the card has white eyes. There's no color. There's no, there's no iris. And I feel as though there's something there about that, because I feel like you've been kind of put in this position to see yourself very, very clearly in maybe not all aspects of your life, but I mean, that could be true, but I feel like there are areas of your life where you have been essentially made to look at yourself from a very honest place. And I do feel like this has made you incredibly uncomfortable, as it would with anyone, right? But I do feel like it's brought you to this precipice. It's brought you to this doorway where you have this opportunity to leave some illusions about yourself behind, perhaps to release some patterns or cycles or traumas or programming or something that you've been repeating. And it feels as though, again, it's, I'm not sure that this is something, certainly this won't resonate with everyone, but I'm not sure if this is something that you actually did take action on. But I feel as though there was an opportunity there for you. It does feel to me that, being put in this position to look at yourself and be very uncomfortable was encouraging you to get out of that comfort zone, to take action in making changes. Although I did feel like that almost like, oh, this is too overwhelming energy. So for some of you, you may not have actually done that. You may just have kind of been like deadlocked with yourself, right? But I do feel either way, if this reading is going to resonate with you, it's probably going to speak to that seeing yourself in a very transparent and authentic way, whether that is something beautiful or not. I feel like it could have brought for many aspects of your shadow self or your darkness to the surface. And I want to make it very clear that we all, regardless of how saintly we may appear to be, have the capacity for darkness. We all carry darkness within us, and it's just a matter of choosing differently, right? It's a matter of navigating that, understanding that about ourselves. So I do feel as though this could have been something that has taken place for you, again, where you've been put in a position to see yourself very clearly, even your darkest bits in some cases. You also have here the law of oneness. Release the need to make anyone wrong and unify with your truth. Again, there's this mirroring image or, coming through. There is an element here of I'm getting as above, so below. So whatever it is that you may have been experiencing in your reality is likely a reflection of what you are experiencing within, being brought to your attention. I feel as though there's an energy here of, how do I say this? It feels to some degree or another controlling. I feel like you'll know what I'm talking about if that's for you. But it feels like instead of aligning with your deepest truth, it feels like being more, or how do I say? Yeah, there's something about, instead of looking at self, instead of asking, why am I experiencing this in my external reality? It feels more so about flipping that around and trying to make, I'm getting fear as well, trying to make others wrong. So it's a very, very interesting energy, because it's a form of almost projection, right? Like, I don't want to look at myself, so instead I'm going to look at what's wrong with you. And I feel like it's a form of control, right? Because it's like, I don't want you to see my things, so I'm going to point out yours to you. I don't know if this is a specific situation or what it is. Maybe this is just a truth that has been brought to your attention. But I feel as though there's a lot of kind of mirroring going on here. There's a lot of seeing your inner reality externally shown back to you, reflected back to you through the month of February. For some of you, this may be a realization that is, how do you say, like new. something that maybe you haven't experienced before, right? Maybe you've never actually been brought face to face with all, these, how do I say, this truth in such a transparent way, in such an obvious way. And that could also be something that was very uncomfortable. It could also have been something that really made you kind of go into this freeze state, because I feel like it's almost like, forgive me for wording it this way, but I feel like this is the best way to explain it. It's almost like a deer in headlights, is how I'm seeing it. So you may have felt like that through the month of February. You do have here Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. I feel like, yeah, a big part of this coming forward is to illuminate you to your truth in order to seed that light, in order to bring it forward in the hopes that you will pick it up and allow that to continue to grow, to almost be more curious. Like, um, what else needs to be illuminated within me? Because I feel like there's something here for some of you, at least, where you maybe have seen how that internal reality has impacted your external experience in perhaps a not so pleasant way, or in a way that maybe you would rather it be something different. So I feel that, the whole point of this is to lay these foundations, because you are essentially being called to this higher way of being, this higher place. And bringing these things to the forefront allows you to, let's say, lighten your load, right? It will allow you to rise higher. And I do feel like for some of you, there is either been a request for this. So perhaps, in prayer or meditation, you were asking to align with a higher purpose, be shown your purpose. Perhaps you asked to evolve or to grow or to be better or something, to experience life in a different way. And this is essentially, God. Maybe you use source or universe or something else. I call it God. So insert word here. I'm going to use God. Maybe you've asked God to, or how do I say, this is essentially like God responding, right? Answering that request. I just feel like for some of you, it showed up in a way that you were not expecting at all. But this is, I feel, for you, laying these foundations for a new beginning, should you choose to, continue along this path of expansion, this path of alignment. If you notice, the figure here is much, much larger than its surroundings. And again, I feel like this is really speaking to that desire to expand. You have here as well Earth, pragmatic, grounded, enduring. So it's, again, this is very interesting to me, because it feels so much like, actually, I'll try to describe it the way I saw it. It might be a little bit difficult, so I appreciate your patience. But it's almost looking to me as though there's something being brought down from above and being grounded into the earth, or onto the earth. And again, if you are someone who has maybe prayed about this, or were seeking something in meditation, or simply just asking outright to, the universe or what have you, I feel as though, again, this is a means by which essentially God is, bringing this down to the earth for you, is bringing it into your reality, grounding it, right? I do feel like it's felt very heavy for you. And I do feel like the month of February, for whatever reason, I don't know why it's coming through in this kind of picture, but it feels like the month of February may have felt like you were carrying like a lot of weight, and that it took a lot out of you physically. to move through the month of February. Like it feels like enduring a lot of weight, a lot of heaviness um, coming forward. You have here as well sextile, harmony, ease, compatibility. Um, I'm noticing a lot of green with these cards that has come out so far. I feel like that's connected to this more healing kind of energy, um, especially in regards to your heart space. And certainly how you love yourself. So this feels like it's unfolding um, in order to support or encourage more self-love, right? To expand that even further. I feel like there's something here about, you know, these things unfolding to create more harmony within, um, more unity within even. Yeah, it really feels like the overall energy has been in order to bring more harmony into your reality. But I feel like, you know, again, in order to do this, there are certain aspects, whatever that looks like for you, that have had to be addressed, that have had to be brought to your attention. It's like we cannot have this harmony without addressing these things that have been imbalanced. Um, so, you know, if you've been asking like what is going on, I feel like this is what it is. Right? These things have been unfolding in order to, I mean, not only call you to a higher purpose and to see the light within you to lay these foundations for a new beginning, but also to create more harmony in your experience. Right? Essentially, like we can't, there's also, you know, just to touch on it for a moment, like we can't rise with all this weight. Okay. The lower frequencies and higher frequencies, it's like they can't coexist at the same time. You can't have someone, for example, experiencing unconditional love and hate simultaneously. Like it doesn't work, right? So I feel like this has been brought forward in order to create more of that harmony, to release what is kind of weighing you down, and bringing more of that self-love in, especially in order to help you rise. I'm also getting this energy of like rejecting aspects of yourself. I'm not sure exactly what those may be for each of you individually, but it does feel almost as though I'm like looking in the mirror and looking away. Like I don't want to see that about myself. I don't want to acknowledge that about myself, whether that's darkness or otherwise, right? Whether that's just not liking what you see, whether that's, I'm not sure, but it just feels like I not wanting to accept certain truths. And it doesn't have to be something dark either. You know, a lot of us spend a lot of time rejecting beautiful, incredible things about ourselves. You know, for example, and this is one of many, so I'm not picking on anyone, but many people reject having a soul at all. And that's a very big aspect of themselves. And, you know, so maybe that's something. We have fixed action, momentum, and dedication. So what's really, really interesting about this Gemini, first of all, is a continuation of that green color. First of all, second of all, there is this energy here of putting yourself in a box, right? I feel like you have some kind of, or have had some kind of like definition of yourself, or some kind of um I don't know, some kind of box that you may have put yourself in that, you know, has prevented you from really moving forward. It feels very kind of stagnant to me in a way, which is interesting. But you do have, you know, the law of action here. And now, again, the energy of action. So I feel everything that has unfolded for you throughout the month of February has been to encourage you to get outside of that box, to get outside of your comfort zone, to be more, let's say, dedicated to your own unfolding, to your higher purpose, which is unique to you, right? Um, yeah, it feels also, I don't know why I'm seeing this. So if maybe this is someone's story, like this actually happened, or maybe it's just a metaphor, but I'm seeing actually someone almost like digging through a pile or like a box or something of laundry, and kind of pulling all of these things out, which is very interesting because I feel like the real you has been buried beneath all of these different layers that you have put on, over time, throughout your life. And I feel like a lot of this has been to encourage you to be more dedicated to removing those, right? To pulling those layers um, off, or to dig down underneath them to discover who you really are, right? To take action. It's very interesting. All right, let's look at the realizations or epiphanies that February has brought for you. We have here the law of correspondence. See life as the ultimate mirror, guiding you to the highest version of yourself. Come on now. I mean, you really can't make this up, right? It does feel like I've been saying for the past, 20 some odd minutes, it does feel to me as though a lot of what has come through here has been to show you you, right? And then I do feel like your reality in many ways has been reflecting to you your inner reality. For some of you, you may have been hitting, kind of obstacles, roadblocks, delays, frustrations, these sorts of things. And I feel like it's been trying to show you where that is, or rather to show you that that has been occurring within you. And for some of you, maybe you made that connection, right? Certainly if we're looking at the realizations and epiphanies, it does feel as though, maybe you saw something somewhere, or I'm getting some fear. Um, I don't know. It feels to me like something turned on a light bulb and really brought to your attention, like, hey, your reality is reflecting back to you what you are experiencing internally. Maybe you saw some kind of post on socials, or watched a YouTube video, or someone said something to you, or maybe you had a dream about it, or it just dropped into your field random. I don't know exactly how this may have unfolded, but it does seem to me like something was triggered within you to show you, hey, this is what's going on. And I do feel like there's an interesting synchronicity with you're being called to your higher purpose, and see life as the ultimate mirror, guiding you to the highest version of yourself. Because I do feel like some of you may have been asking, what is going on here? Because there's this feeling of overwhelm and stress and weight, meeting obstacles or challenges. But I feel like there's a need to understand that all of this is happening for you, not to you. It's happening for you so that you can come face to face with these truths and use them. Use those truths as tools to help you to evolve and to grow, to expand. I also just heard to see through the illusion. We have here for you the law of nature, reconnect with Mother Earth. So what I want to say about this card first and foremost is that, it is our, let's say, first of all, we are nature. Okay? Nature is not something that is separate from us. We are nature. We are very cyclic, just as we see in, for example, the seasons. Okay? So I do feel like there's, for some of you, maybe you've come to this realization that we are very cyclic. Maybe you have realized that you are in a season of winter, for example, or, something like that. I also feel as though there have been certain, how do I say this? It almost feels to me as though maybe you were in this place in the month of February where you were wanting to kind of escape from life or from Earth. You may have been someone who is like, oh, I can't wait for aliens to abduct me, or I don't belong here on this planet, something like that. This is something that is very prevalent in the New Age. And oftentimes it's because there's that disconnection from our truth. There's this, um, wanting to escape our true self. So we, try to look for other things. But I feel as though maybe you have been enlightened to some wisdom. I mean, there's this white owl on here, which is pure. It is, at least that's how it's coming through to me, right? Is this pure kind of wisdom, this truth, and it's flying. Its wings are even, expanded. And I feel as, and one is pointing straight up, which it's just interesting to me, right? I feel as though another part of the realization is understanding this higher wisdom that's been seeping in. I feel like you've only just scratched the surface of that. For some of you, by the way, there's a woman here near the bottom of the card, and I don't know if you can see it, but she has her fingertip out there, and it's lit at the end, almost like freaking ET phone home. That's kind of what it reminds me of, which is, again, another kind of reference to that, like, I want to escape. But I feel as though there's, how do I say, all of this has been unfolding to really bring you back down to earth, to really ground you in the truth of who you are. And with these, I don't know if they're elk or deer or whatever kind of stag this is here, but there are two of them. And I feel like it's meant to try to create this stability for you, this anchoring, it feels like. Yeah, it's interesting because it's bringing forward this energy of laying foundations or stability. Um, Perhaps you felt like you've kind of been out of your body. And maybe what's unfolded has really kind of brought you back to it in a way. It's interesting because it doesn't feel to me so much as like, getting outside and earthing, or, sitting under a tree or something like that, though, maybe that applies, but I feel more it's about connecting to Mother Earth in the way that you are a part of the earth. That's how it feels. It feels more along the line of, I am a micro, what is the word I'm looking for? Like I'm the embodiment of the earth, but on that more that smaller scale. I hope that makes sense. But regardless, you are part of the earth's evolution. Um, part of the earth is part of you. We are not separate from it, and it feels to me like part of these realizations, or epiphanies that have come through to you are essentially that, or it's been trying to come through. I don't know if maybe you picked it up in that way, but that's how I'm seeing it. It feels like this need to deeply connect with the truth of who you are, and the truth of who you are is you are part of nature. You are a part of earth. Yeah, you have mirror, who or what is triggering you. So here's this mirror energy showing up yet again, right? So we have this showing up twice with two different decks, two different authors. And I feel as though the repeating of this message is really bringing forward the understanding. I mean, really, I'm just going to be honest with you. And I say this with so much love because we've all been there, okay? Or at least as far as my experience is concerned, and as far as I can tell, those that are on this spiritual journey have all been there at some point or another, if they're being honest. Where we come face to face with the understanding, essentially, that we have created our own turmoil, we have created our own suffering. And so I do feel, that life has been showing that to you and has been encouraging you to look at who or what is triggering you and turning that light back to yourself. Okay? Because again, there's all of this mirrored energy. You have it showing up now in several of your cards. So it's quite obvious to me that some of the realizations are that your experience is mirroring back to you what you feel internally, and B, that when we are triggered by someone or something, there are things that we have to address. We also have you're already doing it. Stop overthinking. Keep facing your true north. And I really think this is speaking to almost this paralysis. This, like there, all of these things dropping in and just kind of running circles in your mind. And instead of, how do I say, let me back up just a bit. All of these things running through your mind and trying to kind of sort through it logically. And I feel like maybe that's why there's this whole kind of energy of like a deer in headlights, because it's like that's not how you're going to move through this problem. That's not how you're going to find a solution, let's say. It feels more, that there's this energy of facing your truth. And if you notice, it's interesting because the figure on this card here has her back turned, right? So again, it's turning away from the world and turning inward, not in your mind, right? But in your soul, in what you feel within, turning toward the truth. And, something I want to say about that is the truth will set you free, but first it's going to hurt a lot. That has been my experience pretty near every single time as I've been unfolding in my own spiritual journey. And the truth tends to be, though painful, this catalyst for our growth. And honestly, I really feel at this point that the only way we can grow and evolve is through truth. That's it. And it is often very painful. So, I feel like there's something here. I feel like you may have felt very kind of stuck. And I feel like this maybe you even said, like, I'm just overthinking things. Like, I don't even know what to do at this point. And you may have even found yourself trying to escape because it's felt very overwhelming. And I feel like that's likely because, again, perhaps maybe you were trying to move through whatever this is from a very logical or intellectual place, and or a rational place even. And I feel like it's just not possible. Just, I feel like, I just feel like that's not where you would find the answers. I also think it's very interesting that we have this reconnect with Mother Earth, and I've been talking about how, or truthfully, we are part of nature. We are part of the earth. It is our true nature is we are a soul having a human experience, and we have keep facing your true north. So again, I feel like perhaps any time that you, how do I say this, have tried to maybe um, escape in some kind of way from whatever's been unfolding or however this has been unfolding for you. I feel like it's just brought you back down to earth very quickly, if that makes sense. I feel like there is no escaping it. Yeah, you do have here Neptune, mysticism, spirituality, and escapism. So, I it feels to me like there's trying to, how do I say this? Um, I don't want this to be misunderstood. So I want to take a moment and explain. Um, if you are familiar with the work of Rudolf Steiner in anthroposophy, Steiner talks about these two different sides of a spectrum. On one side, there is the Luciferic forces. And essentially, the Luciferic forces want to draw you out of your body. Now, I would encourage you, if you feel like this is hitting or pinging for you, to research this more deeply on your own, because I honestly, I don't have, it would take up a lot of time for me to go very deeply into this. And not only that, but I've only been learning about this for, I don't know, maybe like a year now or so, maybe a little bit less. And Steiner's work took decades. So, but anyways, so there are the Luciferic beings which want to draw you up and out of your body. Okay. Um, and then there are the Harmonic forces, which want to draw you very much into physicality, very much into the material world. Okay, very much into the 3D, to make everything literal, everything scientific. So you can kind of see the polarity there, right? But they're essentially, it's kind of like the same spectrum, just opposite sides, right? Um, and there's this energy here of that Luciferic kind of pull, really pulling out of the body. And again, maybe you felt very kind of out of your body recently. It's really coming through here with this escapism. And maybe you've gotten very, I don't know, maybe some of you have gotten very kind of caught up in New Age, or new, like the New Age or ufology or something like that. And I feel like a lot of what's happening here, again, if that's true for you, whether you simply just have felt out of your body or wanting to escape, I feel like it's really been trying to ground you into who you really are as a human being, right? I mean, as a spiritual being having a human experience. Okay? It really feels like that to me. I feel almost as though for some of you there's been this delusion, and I say this, it's so easy, you guys. I also experienced this in my own unfolding. Okay? It is so easy to get caught up in the delusion of New Age and ufology. Okay? Of the whole kind of, you know, like, I don't even know, alien god stuff. Okay? It's so freaking easy, especially for those that are awakening. So I feel, again, I say that with so much love. I've been there. But there's like an unrealistic thread that's coming through here where it's like, I want to escape. I want to not be on this planet. I want to not be in this body. I am something other than human. And I'm not saying, I don't know everything. None of us do, obviously, but I feel like this is unfolding to really bring you back into your body. And perhaps it would be beneficial for some of you to explore spiritual science, anthroposophy, the work of Rudolf Steiner. Gigi Young has an amazing channel here on YouTube where she dives very deep into these topics and makes it very clear, easy to understand, very palatable, especially for those who have not ever really explored this very much at all. But if you are resonating with this, I would encourage you to do your own research. Abso-freaking-lutely. Okay, and trust your intuition. Okay, so now that I've got that out of the way, and again, please understand it's not a jab at anyone, and I just want to be very clear as well. For me, as someone who believes in God, believes in Christ, and would identify as a Christian mystic, Lucifer is different from, let's say, the Bible's Satan. That would be more harmonic, okay, based on the work of Rudolf Steiner. So I just want to make that clear because I feel like some of you, there may have been a little bit of confusion there. Again, if you are wanting to know more about this, if you want to unpack this further, I would encourage you to do your own research in those areas. Okay? Now, setting that aside, I do feel like some of the realizations or epiphanies that came through for you in February have a lot to do with, again, trying to separate yourself from who you truly are. And so what has taken place, I feel like, has been to further align you with your true spirit, like with spirituality that is, how do I say, more authentic, that is not, how do I'm trying very hard to express this in a clear way, because there's some kind of almost like a spiritual bypassing, or there's been some alignment with false spirituality, profane spirituality, however you, I don't know, it just feels very unaligned to me. And there's a lot of this kind of escapist energy. And I feel as though this has been brought to your attention in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if you've experienced some kind of dark spirit, psychic attack, something like that. This took a really interesting turn. But I feel as though something has been brought to your attention to really point out to you that perhaps you are out of alignment with your true spirituality, and perhaps are sitting in this energy of escapism where you are not giving yourself the opportunity to look at yourself in a very transparent way. We're just going to leave it at that because I feel like I'm kind of talking in circles at this point. And, these are things meant for, or these sorts of heavier topics are meant for us to explore, are meant for us to discover. They're very personal. And so take what resonates. If it doesn't, leave it for someone else. I cannot stress that enough. Okay, do not make it your story if it isn't. You do not want to create more healing for yourself than what is necessary. Okay, so all in all, I feel like the realization and epiphanies that came forward were really mirroring to you in your external experiences what has been going on internally, and has likely shown you where you have been essentially turning a blind eye, or, not wanting to look at yourself from an inward place, sitting very deeply within yourself. So I'm going to leave that there. Let's look at how this will impact your journey moving forward. The law of cosmic creation. Your thoughts will echo into eternity. I mean, I feel like this could really impact you moving forward, Gemini, by putting you in a position where you understand that you are a co-creator of your reality, right? If nothing else, I do feel like, at least based on what I'm feeling, and for whoever this resonates with, that if nothing else, you may have been shown very clearly that you are a co-creator, and so whatever you think about, you bring about. Your thoughts become things. You know, there's something around that, I feel. And so moving forward, you may be moving in a much different way than before, right? You may be trying to reprogram your mind to think about things from a very positive perspective, let's say, instead of from a negative one. I'm going to actually grab the guidebook and just read the message here for you. I feel like it could be helpful. But I definitely feel like there's a doorway here that's open for you. And it's interesting too, because there's what appears to be almost like a moon looking object there behind that doorway. And so I feel as though with the doorway being in front and, there appearing to be what looks like a galaxy, on the other side of that threshold, I feel like moving forward, this could impact your journey by really giving you the opportunity to, again, expand, especially when it comes to your consciousness, and to choose a path that is different from, how do I say, to not be led into illusion, essentially, with that moon energy. Okay, let me grab in here. Oh my gosh, let me find this in the guidebook and see what we have to share. Hopefully this will bring some clarity. Okay, so it says here, by picking this card, it indicates that you can exhale and know that your efforts will lessen. Create assets and not liabilities, and witness the perpetual giving of prosperous fruit. Create an environment that enables your greatness to exponentially grow. Create conscious businesses that help future generations compound in their ability to thrive. The universe is your canvas to leave your legacy. Take some time to relax today. Exhale, knowing that the entire cosmos is working for you. So it's interesting here because it does say you have the intelligence of the stars and planets within you. Right? And I feel like I feel like this is also speaking to, for those of you that resonate and are willing to allow this unfolding to continue, and to continue aligning with that higher purpose, that higher version of yourself, that choose to unify with the truth of who you are. I feel as though this whole kind of leaving your legacy behind, or the legacy you will leave, has something to do with your higher purpose. Right? We have that divine plan there. So I feel as though that this is it feels almost like, in your soul contract, you were like, I need to wake up right around here, or something like that. in order to do what I need to leave behind, fill in the blank. I'm not sure what that might look like for you, okay? But I do know, based on my own understanding and perceptions of things, that as I've learned over the past several years, is that we are essentially here with very unique purposes. Um, Someone described it as like a snowflake, right? No two are the same. And so we have unique things to offer while we are here in this incarnation. And I feel like part of whatever's going on for you is to call you to that so that you can leave that legacy behind. It's very interesting. You have here as well the law of forgiveness. Release all judgments and set yourself free. It's interesting because you have released the need to make anyone wrong and unify with your truth, and release all judgments and to set yourself free. But what's very interesting is I feel like this law of forgiveness is really applicable to you. Another thing I find interesting is that if you allow yourself to become the alchemist and to take your pain and turn it into your purpose, or to take your pain and realize not what it has taken from you, but what it has given to you, how you have benefited. And I know that can be very hard to do. I've had to do it myself. But if you can look at, the things you've experienced and see, okay, like instead of, again, looking at what did this take from me, ask yourself, what did I learn here? What did I gain here? And then, move forward in that way. That I feel like that, how do I say this? It's interesting because it almost feels that the desire to escape feels like almost like crawling in your own skin, not wanting to be in your body, not wanting to be who you are. And it feels like if you are able to find forgiveness for yourself, if you are able to release judgment of yourself, if you are able to accept yourself and acknowledge yourself to be who you are truthfully, that I feel will set you free, right? Like I feel like that would, how do I say this? I feel like it would essentially relieve you of that desire to escape, if that makes sense. So, again, if you allow yourself to acknowledge these things and essentially do the work, I feel as though, even though it's challenging and very, very hard, it's hard and messy and it's not pretty. I feel like if you're able to do that, then you could find yourself ultimately free, like feeling free. And I wish I could explain it better. Um, but it's like, it's almost as though there's that whole kind of energy of like, you can't really explain it to someone who has never experienced it before. Because it's like, it's freedom, but without being, take it, how do I say this? It's almost like taking off a costume in a way. You know, feeling free without ever having to like step outside of yourself. So I hope that makes sense. We have here as well the ever unfolding rose cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. Yeah, and again, if you continue along this vein moving forward, I feel like you will see that this is opening you up, or it's meant to open you up, right? I mean, there are a few cards here where, you know, the characters have their arms open. I mean, you can see it here on the Anna Grandmother of Jesus card. You can see it here in the Law of Forgiveness. And certainly you can see it here in the Ever Unfolding Rose. So I feel as though, you know, this is meant to free you, but not in an escapist type of way. It's meant to liberate you. In truth. Gosh, I hope this is making sense. Okay, let's see what else you have here. Maybe we can get a little deeper. We have second house, finances, value, and possessions. So, yeah, you know, I feel like it could open you up to, again, kind of who you truly are, the value that you possess. As I was saying earlier, we all have this very unique purpose, this reason why we are here that only we can offer to humanity, to the world, to the collective. And I feel like this could help you, right? So we have this unfolding. I was just about to say it, and then I looked down and realized, you know, I feel like this could be unfolding you in such a way that you realize the value of your existence. And that is liberating. Speaking from experience, it is liberating when you discover this purpose, this higher calling, right? It's something that no one can take away from you except for you, right? So I do feel as though this could impact you moving forward by helping you to recognize your true value, your true purpose, and what that means. I also feel like you could experience this. It feels like abundance, but not in a material way. It feels like being full within self. So you could find yourself experiencing that as you move forward as well. You have here ascendant first, or pardon me, ascendant appearance, first impression, and mask. Yeah, so again, like I was saying earlier, right, taking off the costume. I feel like you will have this opportunity to take the mask off and to present yourself to the world exactly as you are, right? For who you are. Like, this is who I am. It's interesting because typically, right, the ascendant is like the mask that we show the world. And in this case, it feels to me as though you may find yourself impacted in the way where you're taking the mask off, where you feel comfortable in just being your authentic self. Now, I'm not saying that you are, you know, open like 7-Eleven and just are all willy-nilly with your energy and who you truly are, because certainly there's a whole kind of concept of like, don't throw pearls to swine. But it does feel more to me like I'm not going to hide behind some kind of label or some need to belong, or, you know, something like that. I'm not going to be anything that I'm not, and being far more comfortable in your own skin. Again, taking off the costume, taking off the mask, stepping more fully into your purpose, really recognizing your own value, seeing the sacredness in yourself, and having this deep reverence and respect and love for you. I hope this makes sense. And I feel like, you know, looking in that mirror, you would see yourself clearly. And it would look very different perhaps than what it has in the past. Okay, so let's look at the messages and advice to best support and serve you moving forward. If there have been messages here that have resonated for you, please do remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I would love to see you again on another video, and greatly appreciate that support. So your first message is the law of correlation. Witness the boomerang effect of your beliefs and actions. Absolutely. Right? The message is here, essentially, you know, the things that you put out, you will get back. The beliefs that you hold within are going to be essentially sent out into the universe and come back to you multiplied. And so, you know, there's this whole kind of message here of change your beliefs, change your life. But the only way that we can really do that is by acknowledging the beliefs to begin with, you know, by seeing them truly. And I feel as though this is part of the message coming through for you. You have here as well the law of reciprocity. Give without expecting anything in return. You know, again, there's this mirroring going on, both with the lions here and with these two women. Okay, so there's a couple of things coming through. One is that on this law of reciprocity card, there are the phases of the moon. I don't know if you can see that there above those arches. So I do feel like part of the message here for you is to understand that we are physical beings. Energy is fast, matter is not. So things take time. I feel like that's something to acknowledge. I also feel as though there is this energy with cracked open, and so it's kind of like being closed off, right? Boxed in. And I feel as though there's this acknowledgement of the boomerang effect, right? Whatever you throw out into the universe is going to come back to you multiplied. And if you want to experience more, okay, if you want to experience, for example, love, if you want to experience abundance, if you want to experience kindness, compassion, if you want to experience more, let's say, of a flowing between yourself and the universe, or yourself and other people, right? It's like you've got to open up to that. If you're being met with resistance, it is because there is resistance within you. I hope that makes sense. And so I feel like there's this opening up of you that is being asked. I'm also getting this message of give the universe the opportunity to surprise you. Give the universe the opportunity to give to you, to return the favor, as it were, right? Because I feel like, again, there's been this like this energy of being kind of closed off or shut down or barricaded in or something like that. And doing that has prevented you from experiencing the abundance that is available to you. It's like blocking your own blessings. So I feel like there's this energy of like, the more you open up, though it may be very scary, the more you open up, right? The more you are cracked open, the more you are willing to give, the more you will receive. Okay. We have here break the chain, ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. I do feel that, you know, again, should you allow yourself to look at yourself very, very honestly, I feel as though you are likely to be seeing where these patterns have been repeating, especially in regards to your beliefs and actions. I feel like they could be very evident to you. Again, we've been talking about this for about an hour now, over an hour. And, I feel like you would have the opportunity to heal these things, to rewrite the future, to change the story. Again, your thoughts will echo into eternity. And you have this opportunity to leave this behind. There's a law of karma here as well. So I feel like there are patterns here that are trying to, you know, essentially be broken, that you are in a position where you have the opportunity to work on healing them should you allow yourself to do so. Again, there's the energy of like, give the universe an opportunity to surprise you, but you won't know unless you try something different, right? Unless you give yourself this opportunity, you will never know. So there's this whole kind of message of like, what have you got to lose? You have here as well the great gathering. It's all coming together. Intuitive hits, soul tribe. Yeah, I do feel like part of what's coming through here with us, it's all coming together, is really speaking of the opportunity of, pardon me, the opportunity. I was getting a little excited there. The opportunity available to you. Again, things are being laid out, if you will, according to divine plan. And so I do feel like you have this opportunity to address these things, to acknowledge these things, to change things, or turn things around. Because again, it's like it's all coming together. All of these pieces, maybe in this reading for some of you, all of these pieces are coming together where it's like, oh, that's what's going on, right? And perhaps for some of you, this is coupled with the intuitive hits you've been having. I feel like some of you have, it's very interesting to me because I feel like some of you may have been pulled actually away from groups or communities or something like that, and maybe have been spending a little bit more time alone. I do feel like there maybe are, for some of you, close members of your tribe, let's say, who have been trying to help you work through whatever this is, but I feel like I'm actually hearing like it's fallen on deaf ears. And that can go two ways. One being perhaps they just simply don't understand. And okay, fine, right? That's fair. We are on different tracks of our own journeys, and some things others will just simply not understand. But there's also, perhaps someone has been trying to share something with you, and you've been, just nope, I don't want to hear it. And we've all been there. Okay, so again, no judgment. This isn't meant to be picking on you or to make you feel worse off at all in any way, shape, or form. Okay, and I hope that's not the case. Um, but I just feel that a lot of the message here that's coming together is that there are a lot of things that you're being illuminated to, that are all opening up doorways for you, should you allow yourself to step through them. Oh, interesting. You have here as well protection, callback, your power, cut the cords, soul retrieval. So it's interesting how, because I don't ever really think about how I'm going to lay the cards down on the table. Like I have a general idea, but I don't really have any kind of set thing. Okay. And it's interesting to me that over here we would have, there are essentially like former versions of, the ancestral line or what have you, former versions of self here, but there's only one full figured being, right? And we have that over here on this side. And then we come over here and there are these groups, which again, I said I felt as though you may have been like called away from groups. And I feel as though part of that has been to protect you. Because I feel like for some of you, you may have been part of some kind of circle or community or group or something where it really hasn't been serving you. I don't know exactly, maybe that's for some specific individuals, but it feels as though part of what has taken place for you has been to protect you from energies, again, that simply are not serving that higher purpose, that higher version of yourself. But there's also this energy here of, again, like really calling back your power, realizing who you truly are, and stepping into that. Now, again, this takes time, but it's like calling back the parts of your soul home, like calling them home. I feel like for some of you, you actually may have, like, I don't know why it feels this way, but it feels almost like I'm just rejecting myself. More specifically, rejecting aspects of my soul, or rejecting that I have a soul even. So I feel like a lot of this is again to try to like bring all of this back home, to bring it all back together. There's also, this energy, of course, of cut the cords. And I do feel like there's, a lot here that would tell me that there are things that you're meant to be releasing. Certainly, we have the law of forgiveness. We have mirror who or what is triggering you, right? Getting out of our comfort zone, releasing the need to make anyone wrong, being cracked open. So I do feel like there are elements of cutting cords here, especially with patterns, thought patterns, behavioral patterns, trauma, wounding, programming, perhaps even groups, situations, whether that be jobs or your environment, whatever it is. I do feel like for those of you who maybe delve into this or pursue this in a very committed kind of way, I feel like there could be big change coming with the total solar eclipse in April. Take that as it resonates. I don't know how that might show up, but it does feel like there could be some big changes, especially in regards to calling back your power, or feeling like pieces of yourself being put into place. Finally, we have here for you psyche, soul, consciousness, and mind. I feel like there's a need to bring more of your focus to your soul and your consciousness, and expanding that, and not getting so caught up in that overthinking kind of analysis paralysis, overwhelmed kind of state, letting your thoughts kind of consume you, paralyze you even. Yeah, there's aspects of really paying attention to your soul self. Um, Also to your spirituality, but again, not from this escapist place, from a very grounded, very structured place. And, that tends to be the problem with New Age stuff and ufology and like the alien god, what ideology and all this kind of stuff, is that it tends to really kind of pull us out of our body. It tends to really kind of pull us um, away from ourselves. So I feel, acknowledging your soul from a very kind of grounded, structured place, I feel like would be very helpful for you. Let me just grab my guidebook here for this card. I want to read a little bit about this for you to give a little bit more depth here on the message that's coming through before we wrap up. So it says, Psyche is known as the goddess of the soul and is related to psychology and the study of the unconscious mind. Psyche represents the trials and tribulations you go through to test your faith in love, truth, and beliefs. Psyche can illustrate how you choose to pursue and understand your psychology through the lens of love. To what lengths will you go for love? The challenges you face in pursuit of love can test your loyalty, commitment, ego, and trust. Psyche can be the candle lighting the way forward, but the journey relies greatly on your faith. Love has the ability to transform your soul, and Psyche sheds light on how this part of you is expressed. I do feel, again, that there's a lot of that green energy, which was really bringing me to the heart chakra. So I do feel like a big part of this is just loving yourself, Gemini, right? Unconditionally loving yourself, realizing the value that you have simply by being who you truly, truly are at a soul level, right? So very, very interesting energy for you. Certainly heavy. I I could definitely see how, one could become very overwhelmed by this experience. But I pray that something here has blessed you in some way, shape, or form. I pray that it has provided some kind of confirmation or clarity or value to you as you move forward in your journey, or as you maybe kind of mull over what has taken place throughout the month of February. I want to thank you so very much for being here with me. I truly appreciate being here with you, the opportunity to connect with you, and for you sharing your time, your energy, and your attention with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Take care of your expanding, growing, magnificent, beautiful, evolving, much needed soul. Peace be with you and within you. I'm sending you so much love and the biggest of hugs, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.